it's my time, and I feel in my prime, and I enjoy this kind of moments. I feel I'm in my prime. I feel more confident, more strong, and everything.
I honestly believe today nobody can beat Canelo Alvarez.
So the legend, the myth, the one and only Roy Jones Jr. gave his reaction to the European assassin Canelo Alvarez getting assassinated by Bivol, where Roy Jones pretty much said that this was another case, another episode of cherry picking going wrong, co-signing to a T everything I have been reporting for years. Check it out.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say, and I nobody looked at it this way yet, but most of the time when you move up, you just want to move up to get a belt in that weight class and say you did it, and you move on. Either you stay there or you get the heck going back where you came from, right?
Right.
You already did that. You did that when you beat Kovalev. What you going back to do it again for?
Great
you want to be 2-time light heavyweight? What does that prove? So why would you even waste time messing with Bivol, who was a problem already? Why would you do that? So if you did that, that means that you thought that he would be easier than David Benavidez? Or you thought he might have been easier than Jermell Charlo? Or you the money man, you could have went and gave us something to see with fighting Dmitry Andre. Why are you going to challenge another light heavyweight when you already accomplished that one time? You caught the right one, you did it. Get out and leave that alone.
Roy, are you insinuating that this was a cherry pick gone wrong?
It was. It had to be.
I always say 3 things that can never be hidden are the sun, the moon, and the truth. They will always come out. The truth will always come to light. See, every time I reported the truth on Canelo Alvarez, old media and Canelo fans ignored the truth since their emotion was blocking their vision from seeing the truth. However, today they are forced to look at the truth straight in the eyes. Face to face, they are forced to face reality. No more living in delusion, no more living in denial, because the truth don't prevail. Just like always, Canelo Alvarez didn't pick Bivol because that was a legacy fight and that was his toughest fight on the table. Absolutely not. Canelo picked Bivol because he had thought Bivol was the weakest link. He was the easiest fight on the table. Canelo was under the impression that Bivol was just another European. People lie, men lie, women lie. Old media definitely lie, but numbers don't lie. Canelo Alvarez was offered $45 million plus pay-per-view to fight Jermell Charlo. He was also offered $55 million plus pay-per-view to fight Benavidez or Errol Spence, who was moving up 3 weight divisions. So if Canelo took the PBC deal, which would have had been the tougher route, he would have had definitely made $100 million guaranteed and up to $200 million after the pay-per-view. Keep in mind, that's only for 2 fights. So that would have had been essentially $100 million a fight. But would you guys believe Canelo Alvarez accepted to fight Bivol for only $15 million plus pay-per-view? Again, $15 million plus pay-per-view. And even if the pay-per-view does so well that it sells over 1 million pay-per-view buys, Canelo can't exceed $40 million in revenue, meaning Canelo can't make over $40 million total in revenue. And since the pay-per-view flopped like there is no tomorrow, where Canelo only sold 300,000 pay-per-views, Canelo only made $15 million flat. Unbelievable. Canelo could have made $40 million more guaranteed fighting David Benavidez for $55 million guaranteed plus pay-per-view. And since we do know that fight would have sold over 1 million pay-per-view buys, Canelo could have walked away with $100 million for each of the Charlo and Benavidez fights, unlike the 15 flat million he made fighting Bivol. Heck, matter of fact, speaking of legacy, DAZN even offered Canelo $25 more million to fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed, back when Canelo said he wants to become the first middleweight undisputed champion of all time from Mexico. And would you guys believe Canelo turned down $40 million guaranteed to fight Andre for undisputed? A legacy day and a payday for Canelo. Therefore, it's documented in history Canelo time and time again turns down his biggest legacy fights for his biggest paydays. Ironically, Canelo says, "You want payday? You want payday?" I know that. But we all know Canelo turns down his biggest paydays. What sense does that make? Furthermore, all of these Canelo fans want to justify the cherry picking by saying, oh, Canelo is looking to make history and make legacy fights, which makes no sense at all, because if the Bivol fight was a legacy fight for Canelo, then first of all, there should have had been a great demand for Canelo to fight Bivol. And I'm talking about before the fight was signed. No one asked Canelo to fight Bivol, even his own fans, as you all see on the polls above. Only 6% of you Canelo fans picked Canelo to fight Bivol. You guys didn't even want to see the fight. Second of all, if this was such a legacy fight, then why Bivol was such a huge underdog? He was a 5-1, 6-1 underdog. What kind of legacy fight is that? You guys can go back and watch Champions Predictions on Canelo versus Bivol on my channel or on anyone's channel. No one gave Bivol a chance. No one picked Bivol straight up to beat Canelo. Dante and I were the only two who picked Bivol to beat Canelo. If he doesn't get robbed, we made that very clear. And he almost got robbed anyway. I also said that this will be a cherry that will go wrong. On many occasions, I made videos saying that this will be another episode of cherry picking going wrong, just like Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos. I caught a lot of backlash for stating the truth. Fast forward months later to now, even Roy Jones came out, co-signing every single thing I reported, including cherry picking going wrong for Canelo. Like I said before, Canelo versus Bivol was the definition of cherry picking going wrong. No one knew Bivol. I hear a lot of Canelo fans say that. No one knew Bivol. That's why the fight flopped, because no one gave Bivol much of a chance. But on the rematch, if Canelo does activate his rematch clause, the rematch will do much better on pay-per-view, because now people know Bivol actually got a chance. Which is my point exactly. This is why this is the definition of cherry picking going wrong. If Canelo actually fought the fighters he was supposed to fight, such as Andre, Charlo, and Benavidez, then he wouldn't have flopped on pay-per-view. In fact, it's the contrary. Canelo would have sold over 1 million pay-per-view buys fighting either one of these guys from Andre, Charlo, and Benavidez, because that's actually the legacy fights that the fans want to see. So yeah, you Canelo fans are absolutely right. Canelo is a big star, most definitely. He can sell a lot of pay-per-views if he actually fight the fighters that we want to see. But when he ducks all of the fighters that he came up with, from the Charlo twins and Andre, the Fabulous Four of his time, to cherry pick fights no one give a damn about, of course he's gonna flop on pay-per-view, because no one is willing to pay pay-per-view money to watch Canelo cherry pick. And the fact that Canelo versus Bivol flopped on pay-per-view, only selling 300,000, even though they claim Canelo is the face of boxing, further proves everything I have been saying, that this is the perfect definition of cherry picking going wrong. If Canelo stopped ducking Andre and Charlo for the past 8 years and fought one of them guys, then you best believe Canelo would have sold one of his highest pay-per-views to this day. He would have had performed his highest pay-per-view, if not one of his highest pay-per-view, beside the Floyd Mayweather fight, to this day. That's why Canelo is not chasing legacy. He's not chasing greatness. He's chasing duckness. That's why Canelo came out with the duck print. Literally, Canelo came out with the NBF Witness Protection franchise, the NBF league in the sport of boxing. So the moral of the story, you can't be chasing legacy or having a legacy fight against Bivol when Bivol was a huge underdog, a 6-1 underdog. Canelo can't be chasing legacy against Bivol when no one asked Canelo to fight Bivol, even his own fans. Canelo can't be chasing legacy against Bivol when nobody even knew Bivol. You can't have a legacy fight against a fighter no one knew and nobody that no one knew. That's like saying Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz was a legacy fight. Absolutely not. Canelo versus Bivol was a cherry picking going wrong, and that's a fact. And to all of the decafs and the trolls in the comment section, what you hear me say, champions, trainers, and even GOATs co-sign the message, because the truth is universal as well as undefeated. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.